You know, as I observe young children watching a TV program and their reactions to what they are viewing, they are usually in this zombie-like transfixed state of motionlessness. They seem to be mesmerized by the fast pace of the images, the rapid image change, the incredible pace of the sequencing of the different scenes. Now, I get a bit interested in what technology is actually doing to the brains of young children. And that's just not TV, mind you, it's the time they spend on iPads, video games, console games, apps, and the like. In our brain, we have what we call synapses. Now, these synapses are connectors in the brain, which are fundamental in getting communication passed from neuron to neuron. The point I want to make is this: if the synapses are the connectors in the brain, then those synapses, which incidentally are at their peak between 2 to 3 years of age, are stimulated by early experiences, whether they be beneficial or harmful to the developing brain. Now, current research is telling us that it is actually possible to overstimulate the developing brain, or more specifically, to inappropriately stimulate the developing brain in ways that are actually not beneficial but harmful. Now, this is important because I believe we are technologising childhood today in a way that is unprecedented. In 1970, the average age at which children began to watch television regularly was 4 years. It's now 4 months. And it's not just how early they watch TV, but how much they watch. The typical child before the age of 5 is watching about 4.5 hours of TV a day. That represents as much as 40% of their waking hours. Now, if you take, for instance, a 20-second television clip, there are about 17 changes in that clip, which is about 1 every 3 seconds. Just imagine what that does to a child's brain. Their brain is trying to make a coherent narrative out of this, and they are not capable of doing that. It's all of that screen change and all that stimulation that's keeping them actually engaged. It's what we call the overstimulation hypothesis, which is that prolonged exposure to this rapid image change during this critical window of brain development. What we are doing is preconditioning the mind to expect high levels of input, and that's what leads to inattention in later life. So an example, you take a school-aged child to visit a farm. It's boring, it's far too slow. How come there's no sheep suddenly popping into my face? Why do I have to walk from here to there? The general idea is that you condition the mind to a reality which doesn't actually exist. So what we are finding is that the more television children watch before the age of 3, the more likely they are to actually have potential problems at school age. What else we know is that the more cognitive stimulation children receive, and we measure cognitive stimulation in terms of how often parents read to their child, how often they take them to the museum, how often they sing to them, we find that cognitive stimulation reduces the chances of attention problems later in life. So, there are certain things that we can do early on in our children's lives that enhance their ability to pay attention, and certain things we can do early on that actually impede them. I'm about what I like to call raising free-range kids, kids with backyards and cubby houses, instead of the overstimulation of technology. So I want to conclude by impressing on you that early childhood is very important for children. It's critical to their development, and we need more real-time play today and less fast-paced media. It's vitally important that we have that, because if we change the beginning of the story, we change the whole story.